the VHS Wall, everyone. I am Mike Pelly, joined by Allison. How the fuck are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
You're fine. How are me? I'm good. I'm excited.
You sound good. Mm-hmm.
Are you very excited?
I'm okay.
I felt like you got a good vibe from this film.
I was multitasking when I was watching it, but
What?
it was my second time viewing.
Wait. You were multitasking during the watching of the film?
I was cooking and doing laundry at the same time as watching this film.
Cooking pasta and
A quiche.
a quiche
Mhm.
at the same time.
Yep.
I gotta say, goddamn impressive.
Thank you.
Goddamn impressive. Watching this film, Stargate, with our friend. You can find this guy at Jason_Lamb. That's because he's Jason Lamb. How's it going, buddy?
I'm going pretty well.
You're going?
Yeah. It's
Going up?
It's
Going down?
going super well.
We are here talking about a film that, honestly, Jason Lamb was the main, kind of focal point in the decision of reviewing this film, because I know that there are numerous TV shows based on it, and I have not seen a single episode of any of that. There's even comic books, I think, that are based off this film.
I think so. I've not seen any of the comics.
So my
but
well,
it's like a new sort of obsession of mine.
okay. Well, there are 10 seasons of
Yeah.
the show following the film, but the movie is called Stargate. Came out in 1994. I am a big fan of this movie. I love it. I felt like doing this movie is like kind of a service to my guests, and my co-host Allison.
Disservice.
Because I've been, choosing movies that I personally love that I know suck, and my poor, co-hosts have to watch it. Like Superman 4, awful film.
But you didn't choose this because you thought it sucked.
Right. Before we dive into this film, which I'm very excited to talk about because it's one of my favorite movies. Like, it's in my top 20. I mean, I have a lot of favorite movies.
As far as 90s jams go, it's
it's
pretty
up
up
there.
Yeah.
And I think that what resonates with me is it's like the tying in of the Egyptian folklore or whatever with sci-fi and making it a thing, like a real reason. Like, this movie is seriously Ancient Aliens, the movie. And I just couldn't agree with myself more on that one.
No, it really is. It's based on, I guess the writers.
Yeah.
It's like Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich.
Right.
Read like Chariots of the Gods.
Oh.
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
about that.
And they have the guy who wrote Chariots of the Gods on the Ancient Aliens TV show.
Oh, really?
Like, he's a dude that actually talks about things. Like,
I tried watching that. Like, I just get really baked, and then I would just forget about what the episode was about.
Right.
And just be like, whoa,
It's
aliens.
like that
but
when
it's
you're
so
not
satisfying
stoned, too.
to put
Yeah.
on.
But you just always know how it's gonna conclude.
Which is they don't know
Aliens.
anything.
Which is
No, aliens.
aliens.
They're like,
It was aliens.
It usually concludes like this. So the question is are there things out there? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
So
What's his name?
Giorgio.
Yeah, Giorgio.
Giorgio is a classic. But before we dive in, cheers to you guys. Let's have a little drink.
I have
before
orange
we dive
juice.
in.
Orange
we also have
juice.
some champagne here, which I'm gonna pop open in a sec.
This is it's like drunken history, but it's we go over the history of the film that we're watching and we try to recount it.
True, exactly.
We're not telling any stories. We're talking about our experiences with
Is
the
that
film.
getting another season? It probably is.
I don't know.
It's a great show.
I think
do
there's
like
3
drunk history.
seasons of it.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's fun.
The Funny or Die was better, but
But
Anyway.
anyway,
So
we're what? Go ahead.
Let's go over what this film, the basic premise
here's
of
the
it.
thing, and I'm going to reiterate what's going on with the VHS Wall podcast format. What we're
giving
doing
Jason a rundown.
instead of and Jason Lamb is hearing this for the first time. Maybe not. I'm not sure, but we're not talking about the movie from the beginning to the end and walking you through it. We're going to go ahead and assume you've seen the movie. So, massive spoilers ahead. We're talking about the movie Stargate from 1984. Spoiler alert.
1994.
What?
You said 84.
I said 84?
Yeah, you did.
Oh,
Yeah.
1994.
But I think this movie might need some structure because it's a sci-fi.
No, we'll do our best, but like really what I want to do is I want to just have us talk about the things about the film that really stand out to us. Like those things, like for me, like
Sure.
the movie, the story it's pretty solid. I like it, but like I first off, I want the listeners to have seen the movie and then listen to this podcast. Just go ahead and put it on your favorites. Come back in. Dive right in
Or not.
to where we're living, or don't.
Yeah, hopefully we can sell you on it.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know?
No. The whole goal is we don't have to sell you on it.
Well, we'll make it compelling, at least.
But here's
Yes.
the thing.
We'll pique your curiosity.
This movie, as I do on every episode of the VHS Wall podcast, I always want to give you a little bit of a background on the film with me personally, like why I would pick a film like this.
You.
Everybody knows the answer. It's because it's Pelly's nostalgic. It's his old favorite thing. He watched it when he was a little boy and so long. But here's the thing. Is Stargate was the first film I saw have a scene where you could transport into a different reality in a visual way. Like it does that thing with the stars, like Star Wars, like hyperspace,
Right.
And it's supposed to be
And Star Trek.
It never shows, yeah, and Star Trek, and it never shows the body of the person transporting, but it's like the camera does it, and I loved that. Like when I was a kid, that captivated me. Like it was so interesting to see.
Like, I don't know, like it's been so many years now, and I've seen like so many montages of it. Like I couldn't,
like it's like boom, you're thrusted through, and they explain it when they're like, oh, it's uncharted territory in the movie. They're like trying to find out where after the camera thing went through the Stargate, it ended up somewhere else. They're like, we can't locate it. It's in another part of the known galaxy. That was so interesting to me as a kid.
Known universe,
even broader.
I don't know. Like, there's been so many stories like since then. Or you can even count like hyperspace travel in Star Wars as like the first time we see that. Like, it's like, oh, like the stars are like blurring by you, and
oh my god, that scared the shit out of me.
That was the champagne bottle. Mm-hmm.
It was indeed.
Oh my god.
And then also like I can't remember. It's that TV show Sliders.
Mike showed that to me.
And I feel like when they would go to their alternate dimensions, they would also have like I don't know what came first though.
Did they do that in that show?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did when they would go through their like multiverse warp or whatever.
Yeah, it was all about different Earths. And even in the introduction of the show, they had like a little intro. It would show for Sliders. It would show like 5, maybe 8, 10 worlds. And they all look like Earth.
Oh, yeah. It was like a spiral of different Earths.
So in this movie, are they traveling to the past or a different dimension that's like the past?
So it's not a different dimension. They're just able to basically travel through a wormhole to another part of the galaxy, but in real time.
But it has the same hieroglyphics?
Yeah, and the way that they explain that, if you're watching, was I'm just kidding.
No. We are basing this podcast on the fact that whoever's listening to this have seen the movie. It came out in 84. I'm sorry, 94.
So say the question again.
So I was just
fucking around.
I know. I mean, I think I know the answer, but it seems so similar in that they were traveling to a different dimension that seemed like ancient Egypt, but was slightly different. Correct? It was a different world.
Yeah, so it's a different world, and basically, like the premise was, like you were saying, Ancient Aliens, the movie, where they had this god who came down during like ancient times and sort of like brought up civilization, and so like what we know is like the Egyptian pantheon or whatever, was exactly. Like basically these aliens, and Ra,
which that's. I'm sorry to stop you right there.
That's all right,
but like. That in itself is my main infatuation with the film.
Yeah.
Is that they're making a movie about these mysteries of ancient Egyptian times and giving it an answer it's clearly sci-fi. You know, it's
Right.
not real, obviously, but like this is something that like they are straight up addressing all those mysteries in the ancient Egyptian times with this film.
Because they shared the same hieroglyphics, pyramids, and the sun god Ra.
All
so
that
they,
stuff.
So they can say that like their
Right.
writing, their system of writing and stuff like that came from him, and he like admits to like basically creating our civilization
Right.
as we know it in modern times for like 1994. or whatever.
Which, like, I think they did the writers did a really good job trying to make that a reality. You know, with the fact that Stargate was buried and they had to dig it up, and the necklace and everything. It's just, I don't know. Like, I liked the taking established history and making it into like this fun new sci-fi story was so fucking cool.
Right.
It just was so cool when I was a kid, and now today I watched that movie and it's I feel the same way.
It's still cool, yeah.
Yeah.
I had never heard of this movie until you introduced it to me.
Never heard of
As
it.
most of these movies are on this podcast.
Well, let's talk about
I rarely ever know
Stargate
about
the
them.
movie. Like that
That
like,
is what we're talking about.
Well, no. Let's, yeah, no.
That's what this podcast is.
You know what? I decided to talk about I don't know, Stargate. Let's talk about that
Yeah,
right now.
let's talk about
it. So Stargate, its reception. Currently, let's see. I'm looking on well, I have IMDb.
IMDb.
ID4.
It's kind of low,
Ed-
right?
I have
Ed-
ID4 open. Speaking of
Ed-
ID4, the director of ID4 did this movie. But it has a Stargate has a 50%.
I know. I feel like that's like
think that's
totally
quite low.
underrated.
Yeah.
Quite low, Uncle Lex.
Quite low. It's quite low. But Roland Emmerich, the director, who directed Independence Day as well, and a number of other films before, clearly, but he's never really gotten like that full on like consistent fresh o-meter on the tomato meter, you know.
And this is the movie he got his start on. Like he was able to prove himself as a director to like work within like the studio system and like do it like on time and under budget kind of thing. And he went on to do Independence Day,
Right.
and Day After
Which is
Tomorrow.
a super fun movie. I love Independence Day. Like it's
Like his movies might not be critically acclaimed, but they always end up making money, which is why he's still able to do what he does in Hollywood, I think.
And he's made some goddamn shit bombs.
Like what? Like what?
He's shit the bed many times. More recently in a film called 2012.
I don't even know what that is.
Did he do 2012?
Yeah, he did 2012. He also did that movie with fucking Donnie Darko, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Day After Tomorrow.
Day After
so I was just
Tomorrow.
saying, yeah.
Oh.
He's like all about.
And he did The Patriot with Mel Gibson.
Oh.
which I haven't seen.
We watched that in history class in 8th grade.
The Patriot.
Yeah, my teacher was just like giving up on that day. She's like, here, watch this movie.
What was that
Watch-
book that everybody had to read that was about like the teenager whose brother went off to like fight in the War of Independence, and it ends up with like
Was it like a
his
young
brother-
girl's diary?
No, it was a young like boy. It's like
Oh.
told from the first person.
I
like,
did not read that.
and his brother ends up getting shot at the end by like firing squad.
What? No.
Yeah, no, it was like
I don't-
super dark. I read it. It was like in 5th grade or something.
It
like
wasn't.
that.
It wasn't the Scarlet Letter
no.
that everyone had to read.
Anyway,
Interesting.
I'll never get this,
I don't know
but-
that.
I feel like it was just as bad. It was like the human equivalent of like the scene in like Old Yeller where they have to like take him out back. you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Take him out to pasture.
Wow, interesting. I wonder what that is.
It's like my brother something is dead.
That's the title?
Yeah, totally.
My brother Job is dead.
My brother Job is dead. Rated R.
Jacob.
Back to the Patriot. I have nothing to say about the Patriot.
Well,
It
what I was saying was just that like he directed all these movies and nothing really got to a point where it was critically acclaimed. He's a great filmmaker, but he does accomplish these films like Stargate, ID4. I can't believe I'm calling it ID4. It's such a stupid.
It's called Independence Day.
Weird. Yeah, it's called Independence Day. God damn it.
I'm calling it ID4.
Idfo.
But like they were like, oh yeah, we'll call it ID4 because it's a little abbreviation. It's so stupid. Those movies like have that consistent fun feel, right? And then when he started doing later movies, he did Day After Tomorrow, he did 2012. Like those movies are not fun. It's just all about the disaster.
He likes it.
Of the film or the premise? Of the
Both.
Film?
Okay, so what's the main character's name in this movie? Not the character's name, the actor's name.
James Spader.
James Spader. And Kurt Russell.
This is the first role I saw when you introduced this movie to me where he's not an asshole. He always plays a waspy asshole teenage boy, like in Pretty in Pink and other movies. So it's weird seeing him in a role that you're supposed to like. And he's kind of a nerd. He's like a super smart nerd that has allergies.
It's
supposed to make him endearing, I guess.
He especially because
it's weird for me because he usually plays a dick.
Yeah, I think it was like 5 years before this movie came out. He was playing like the mall security head in Mannequin.
Yeah,
he's also like
character.
He was in a lot of soft porn. I don't know if that was before or after Stargate, but like
I did not know that.
Well, like erotic thrillers.
Well, if it was soft porn, then there was no peen, peen going on.
Has peen.
No, it doesn't.
Sometimes.
It doesn't have full penetration.
Soft porn does not show.
Okay, so we did not see Spader Wayne.
Yeah, penetrating.
Yeah. But he was in like a lot of erotic thrillers.
Oh, I had no idea.
In the 90s. And then I feel like that's how he got the role for Secretary. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie.
Mm-mm.
I have not.
Where he plays like
Is he a dick in it?
He's like, yeah, he's a dick in it.
He was in one of the later Offices, which were terrible.
But he's like an obsessive compulsive person in Secretary, and like the way that his outlet is basically to dominate his secretary, played by Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Did you like that movie?
I liked it when I was like in high school or whenever the fuck it came out.
Yeah.
Like it's been a long time. I saw it in the theater when like it must have been like 99 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like really weird to like, but again, like him being in a role where you actually are like supposed to like him.
Yeah, it's strange.
It's strange.
It's very strange.
He was such a dick in Pretty in Pink, and he has
multiple of those. Like even that Robert Downey Jr. movie,
Iron Man.
Not Iron Man, but he did go against Iron Man in Age of Ultron.
This guy was in it.
Yeah, James Spader.
Oh yeah,
he's the voice.
He was Ultron.
Yeah.
Oh,
I forgot.
Yeah, you're right. That is strange.
Funny. So James Spader, I love him in this movie. And another thing that I loved when I was a kid watching this movie, Ancient Egyptian mystery, was James Spader sitting on a dune eating Fifth Avenue candy bars.
That's right.
And I would honestly like go and buy those candy bars. Like I would save up to buy those because of this film.
I think I was really into it.
Yeah, because they prominently show him eating these candy bars in the film.
So they gave money to the movie.
It was clearly.
Yeah,
there's like a whole scene where like he's like trying to give it to the.
Oh, that's funny. I missed
the noble savage.
And it shows him like always sitting down on a dune, like eating them.
So, can I bring up? So once they find the Stargate, they find him. They're like, "You're the one that can read the hieroglyphics and figure this out." They solve it really fast. And then they just whoop into the Stargate. Yeah,
right into it. Like it's like
they bring one scientist and the rest are military men, including Kurt Russell with the flat top.
Well, I think they do say that like he's been there for 14 days. Once they finally he finds like the final symbol and is like, you found in like 14 days, but people haven't found in 2 years.
There's all those shots of him like being like in deep insomnia. He's like getting coffee in the middle of the night, and like he just looks like he's just like losing it. And then finally he figures it out. And
finally,
so
after 2 weeks, figures out
what people couldn't figure out in 2 years, which is like why he's like supposed to be like a genius.
But what I like about it is that they actually addressed that. They said, you figured out in 2 weeks that these people couldn't figure out in like 20 years.
It was one of those situations though where it's all super fast and they're like, "Oh, duh, it's right like this," and it's movie magic where it's all super fast.
But it wasn't random. It wasn't random. The girl. Okay, so let's talk. Okay, I guess we have to start from the beginning of the movie because
you don't have to.
Well, the girl. There was a girl who was the daughter of the archaeologist who dug up the Stargate, and the Stargate was this ancient artifact. Nobody really knew what it was all about, but they noticed all of the symbols, all the hieroglyphics that like all have to line up to make some sort of a code or whatever. And it's a gateway to another world, basically.
Right.
And so the girl who's the daughter of the archaeologist that found the Stargate, she's now old, and she is the one that identified James Spader as the guy who could decipher all the stuff. And that's why it took him 2 weeks, because they set him up to be like this like oddball character. She's been looking for someone that can like read all that shit for years, but nobody else can do it. And he did it. And that was the whole thing about him.
Right.
And then they send in him and 5 military men.
Yeah, because
and that's
like
it.
Yeah, like because it's like it's Stargate.
Well, they had hypothesized that in order to come back across the gate, they needed to translate the series of symbols it took.
Yeah,
like the different chevrons to get back home. It's been a couple of years since I watched it, and I was like, oh my God, like I'm so disillusioned with this film now, watching it like a few years later, because I thought there was like this huge plot hole, which was, okay, so it's only a one-way trip, like, and then they have to decipher the code to get back.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, well, if they opened it from our side, why would they not just open it fucking again? It's like, well, they haven't reported back for 2 hours. Like, let's open it again so they can come back.
Exactly.
So the way they got around it in the film, which has that guy from Third Rock from the Sun.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name?
I
French?
can't, something French.
The guy with the squinty eyes.
Yeah. But like, the way they got around it was just like, but we can't come back unless we dial from here, dum-dum. And it's just like, they just like did exposition, no explanation whatsoever.
No explanation.
His name is just the way the rules work.
Yeah.
His name is actually French.
Yes,
Stewart.
French. Stewart. Duh. Okay. So I feel like this movie had a lot of Star Wars type things. Like they land in a sand dune,
elements.
and then
Yeah.
the first animal they see is kind of Star Wars-y looking.
Yeah, it was like a band.
And then the first populated area, they were playing music that reminded me of the bar scene.
Yeah.
Did you think that, or was that just me?
No. Actually, like, I always kind of felt this movie was like the Star Wars
of the 80s.
No. I don't think it was. Like, I felt like it was like an offshoot, like an anthology film. Like what they're doing right now with Star Wars is they're doing anthology films, which are spinoffs, and it's like side stories that happen on other planets and stuff. This movie, like the way it's done, is it has a certain spectacle to it that I felt like Star Wars accomplished. This movie clearly is not on the same level, but like I felt like they were going for it, and I would believe that this is the Earth, our Earth, going to another Earth, sort of Star Wars style film.
Yeah, because the people have like the Jedi braids. Actually, that one little
like the people on the new Earth.
Yeah, the new Earth. I guess
is that what it is, Jason? Do you know what it's called? Where they're at? Where they go to?
It's P3X11.
Shut up. No, but it's just is it just another Earth?
Or it's not another Earth.
Another planet.
It's another planet in a different solar system, in a different part of a different galaxy, in a
different galaxy, right?
Well, the people I think are supposed to kind of look Middle Eastern, but they're white people.
They're basically descended from ancient Egyptians,
right? But most of them are white people,
right?
With
because
wigs on,
right? Yeah.
In the beginning of the movie, they explain it. They say that Ra, who's the sun god, comes down, which, by the way, oh my God, the fucking, like, Raw ship is so sick.
The top of the pyramid.
It's pretty sick, yeah.
I can't, like,
pyramid.
like it explains why pyramids are pyramids. Pyramids are docking systems.
Yeah, it's like the pyramid condom.
Exactly. like
you just roll it over the top.
I've never
thinking
seen
about like we were just talking about how the soundtrack was very similar to Star Wars. It like evoked that, and I think that like the composer really was from like a classical school in the same way that John Williams was, where like it sounded a lot like Ben-Hur and like Lawrence of Arabia.
I thought it sounded like Jurassic Park.
Allison said, she got Jurassic Park vibes from the song, and I was like, no, that's John Williams. That's not this composer.
Yeah,
backs that up.
And apparently, this was like his first full movie score. He had never done one before. Which I think, like, for your first score, like, right out of the gate, like, you did a fucking bang-up job, whatever dude's name is.
The composer?
It's one of my favorites. It's a theme that is very iconic. It's, like, one that got stuck in your head. I remember as a kid, even after seeing it the first time, the theme song was just stuck in my head forever. I actually saw this movie with my grandmother. It was the last movie I got to see with my grandmother when I was a kid.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And I was really worried because it was also like one of the loudest movies I had ever seen. And I'd seen like I've been to like a fuck ton of movies. And I was like, I kept checking in with my grandmother. I was like, Grandma, is this too loud for you? Mm-hmm. And she's like, no, I love it. This is great. And she's like, it was like a movie that we like bonded over.
That's really
sweet.
Yeah.
And so I think like part of the nostalgia of that is like why I love this movie and this franchise so much. It's just like that memory was like
this
the
movie
good
like
way to start
opens
it
it
out.
up to where you can enjoy it from a nostalgic sense. Like as I said before, I saw this movie, like I think about Fifth Avenue candy bars, and it makes me think about going to Albertsons and buying those because I saw this movie and like all that stuff.
Albertsons,
yeah,
that's it.
Specifically,
specifically Albertsons, Thousand Oaks, ladies and gentlemen, 1995. Let's talk about Raw and Raw's minions, who have those classic
crazy shaped heads with hair.
They have helmets on.
Oh, I was talking about the slave alien children who have a shaved head and then a side pony.
They do. Oh yeah, like that does look like, as you were saying before, like Jedi younglings. They did look like that.
Yeah, they have like very iconic like hawks and jackals and things like that you would see from a lot of like ancient Egyptian mythology.
Yeah.
But they were like robot heads or something. Like there was like armor that they wore.
And the CGI was not so good when they would take
I thought it was great.
I thought it was pretty good.
When the helmets
I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was cool.
Well, when Raw's helmet came off, all it did was it just like it went transparent and like went to his inside of his head.
Yeah.
And like I was like, okay.
The other ones didn't do that. But it was like a collar they wore that went up. Over.
The other ones had it go into the collar.
One of the things that's really surprising about this is like just like how it's one of the last films before like CG like really took over, but it also like how much CG is prevalent throughout it. Like a lot of these, like, so there's a lot of scenes in the desert, like that's where it mostly takes place, is like a desert planet. A lot of the background things, like the pyramids and like people and like whole like armies of people that are like traveling across the desert, that's all CG.
Totally.
Yeah.
Which is like, but you can't tell when you like look at it.
Right.
And like some of it's even practical effects where it's like a bunch of dummies with like wooden sticks and like brooms that are like, they're just like, there's somebody with like ropes like pulling it up and down, and you can't tell that they're not like real people in the background.
Exactly.
I thought that he did a fantastic job with that, more so than like a lot of modern films try to do, like where they're like overly CG.
Yeah. Totally. There was no point like remembering this movie between when it came out and now, like where I'm like, oh, there was some real like cheesy visual situations in the movie, like I think it stands.
You know the Tim Allen Santa Claus movie?
Yeah, I think it was called The Santa Claus.
Okay, well, the head elf he meets, he's
Bernard,
a young Jewish boy who has dreads attached to his
Is that
hat.
who you think all the village people look like?
Yes. They have the craziest wig dreads that look so stupid because they have like beads in them and stuff, but they're all white people with like wig dreads on attached to their hats. And that's exactly what it reminded me of.
Yeah, this is before
That's a specific reference, but that's what I thought of the whole movie.
I can see that.
This
is before people like really cared about the correctness of like casting people of the ethnicity they're trying to
Oh
portray.
no, they're like, no. We're
Yeah,
gonna have
this
all
is
white
still-
people and throw some dirt on their face.
Yeah, this is 94. This is still when they just didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And like, talking about the visuals of the film, whether that's like, aesthetics or CG or whatever, like the cinematography I feel like is like really on point for this film.
Totally.
Was it high budget? This movie?
I think it was
It
like
looks
medium.
like it kind of is.
I think it was like medium budget because they got like, they got fucking like Kurt Russell, for instance, like
Yeah.
who must have not been cheap at the time. I think he was still like at his peak, but like
He had to cut his hair.
the cinematography, like people look at Lawrence of Arabia and they talk about these like classic scenes. Like I was thinking in particular, like the one of, I don't know if you guys have seen this movie, but there's like a car that's traveling in the desert and like all you see off in the distance is like this cloud and like heat waves until like it's like a really, really long shot until like the car like pulls into the frame. That's what you see was causing the cloud.
Interesting.
Like the plume of smoke. And I feel like there's so many scenes in this film that reference that, which is like one of the greatest films of all time. And it's just like really, really classic.
Here,
Especially when it comes to like the tribes like moving through the desert. It's really beautiful to watch.
Here's what's interesting. This is what Roland Emmerich did before partnering up with what's his name?
Dean Devlin.
Yeah, Dean with the Dean.
That can't be his real name.
Was these movies he did? Ghost Chase,
The
Moon
fuck is that?
Yeah, what's
Moon
that?
44, and Universal Soldier.
Oh, he did Universal Soldier. Did he direct it or was he like a
directed
producer?
it. He directed
What?
Universal Soldier right before he did Stargate.
Dude, I love this guy already because Universal Soldier is such an awesome like. It's fucking Dolph Lundgren and Van Damme. You can't beat
Jesus.
that.
So you said there was a spin-off show. There's a few spin-off shows from this.
Yeah.
Did they make up their own language? That they had the indigenous slave people?
So supposedly, like this was like ancient Egyptian, and the language
Is
that they're
that what
using
it's
in the
actually
film,
from? Because that's what I was curious about.
it's supposed to be derived from
Because in the
Egyptian.
beginning, the movie Ra took humans from Earth, and that's who's his slaves are. But he also like left a number of them on this other planet in a different galaxy,
right?
which is this planet that we're on in the movie
That
for the
makes
most of
more
the time.
sense. Okay.
Yeah,
And
so
they
the
repopulated,
origin of the human beings in this universe, are
and they're
from
still
Earth.
they still
Oh,
speak
I didn't even know
they
that.
still speak Egyptian.
Okay, because the main guy picked up their language super fast and then was speaking to them fluently.
Okay,
right?
in
But
the
he was
movie.
also like an Egyptologist,
That's
like
true.
archaeologist.
That's true.
So like it was like that's why they hired him for the Stargate program in the
And
first
they only
place.
they only sent one scientist.
However, kind of unbelievable. I'm gonna throw this out there.
Yeah.
James Spader
The spades.
he hooks up with this girl. Not hooks up. He's just like, I'm not gonna hook up with you. Good for you, James Spader character.
I kind of wish he was still really waspy in it. From like Pretty in Pink,
He's
where
just
it's
like,
like, blame you asshole.
Blame you asshole.
He's like, who is this trash?
He gets with the girl and she starts teaching him the language, which
language of love.
which is
Yes.
yeah. But like they never do it or anything in the movie. No,
They
it never
no,
happened.
so
They
they
kiss, they
did.
make out at the end.
They allude to it, and like all it is like wind blowing across dunes, and there's like
Oh.
sand blowing, and then it like cuts to the next scene. That's like
What?
symbolic of
Well,
yeah.
later,
I don't
later
remember
the
that.
people are making fun of him because they call him the husband. They're like, tee hee hee, husbands don't do that work. And then he's like, husband?
Yeah.
And then she's like, no, I was embarrassed. I said that you wouldn't marry me because he thought that she was being given to him, which she was, right? As a
Yeah,
gift.
she was. Yeah, by the
Like
Because they
in
all-
a,
the
in
chief
a
of
very
the tribe or whatever.
So when they
prostitution
arrived-
sense. Yes.
When they arrived, they assume all of them are gods.
yes.
Okay.
Or like
It was-
at
or
least
like, it was because-
emissaries of Ra.
it was
Right,
because
right.
James Spader was wearing that necklace.
Yeah, he has a necklace that has the symbol of Ra, which is the eye.
I
Right.
see. Oh, yeah. And they kept trying to draw stuff in the sand. Was that? I didn't catch what
Oh,
that
Language
yeah,
is
Ra-
forbidden.
Yeah, well, there's a whole
written language.
Written
scene.
language is forbidden.
There's a whole scene of exposition where
I
James
missed a lot of
Spader
this.
James Spader explains to Kurt Russell. And by the way, I want to talk about Kurt Russell in a second. But
Yeah,
before I
very
do that, we're going to
seriously.
talk about this. James Spader explains to Kurt Russell what the native girls explained to him, which apparently he can understand in like 2 hours. He learned their language.
Pretty fast.
It was that Raw outlawed reading and writing.
Oh.
And the reason why was because he didn't want the story to get out at all.
Yeah,
What he did on
Revolution
Earth
and stuff like that.
like when he
Okay.
took people from Earth, like none of that. And that actually coincides with the fact that a lot of the ancient Egyptian stuff and like ancient aliens, you watch that, like all the things they talk about, it's all so mysterious. It kind of coincides with that. It's like outlawing reading and writing,
But they already had
does
a
a
writing
lot.
system. They already had
but
hieroglyphics.
he outlawed it. When he took these people,
So they had to stop at that
they
time.
had to stop.
I see.
Yeah, that's why in the on the planet they're on through the most of the movie, there's hardly any like hieroglyphics and like any art. Like they try to the humans from here like try to draw on the sand and they're like, no, don't do that. That's against the law.
Yeah.
They talk like
That's
that
how they
too.
talk. You
They
know,
talk
it's like,
against the law,
"Whoa, Bill and
bruh."
Ted as President Esquire.
Yeah, and Shouty's like not like that's James Spader's like promised wife in the film. She's not afraid to show him like the written language, which is like on some hidden.
And her
hieroglyphs
boobs.
and,
She
like-
just.
Well,
She does, yeah.
Yep.
I think that like James Spader's character like does a thing where he's just like, look, I am not hostile in any way, and like that's why you were sent here to have sex with me. That's why, like,
No, that's not why.
no. She was sent there to have sex with him.
You were sent
Because
here
you weren't
to
hostile.
have
because
have sex with me.
He had the thing of Raw.
I'm James Spader.
He had the thing of Raw, which is hostile. So that's why they were catering to them and like helping them out. And but she got the vibe from him after he explained, or at least
he was giving off hella signals.
No, he was
Giving
giving
off
off like
the
a
vibe, man.
calming, not rapey vibe, and that's why she decided to.
Raw's not rapey.
Although when he first when Daniel Jackson is the name of the character. When he first looks at Chowdy, he like has this creepy grin on his face. He was just like,
That's
hey.
true.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Raw.
Well, no.
Babe.
Before we
Yeah.
talk about Raw,
What a
I want to
babe.
talk about Kurt Russell
Our
here.
guy.
Okay.
So
Our guy.
Allison didn't see
I didn't see a pivotal part,
a
apparently.
pivotal scene, which is in the very beginning, where Kurt Russell is sporting a beautiful mane. And
It
it's-
looks regular. He always had like
It is
shoulder length hair.
and also
a-
sporting a Beretta
Yeah.
to put in his mouth.
Yeah.
it's like it's a scene that's so full of exposition that like if you didn't see it, which Allison didn't,
I
you
saw
wouldn't you wouldn't understand the character's motivations later in the film trying to kill himself with the nuclear bomb.
Right, but I saw his wife,
It's
which I felt like she
nuclear.
was just like.
Nuclear, excuse me.
I feel like his wife was just really going for it because she only had like a few seconds on camera
Yeah.
where
and
she
she's
was
just
chopping
like,
vegetables. The military guys came in. She's like, "Yeah, he's in his fucking room."
yeah,
And then she lights up a
It's like,
cigarette.
can we talk to him? She's like,
I
"You
guess.
try."
but
yeah, she's like, "He's about to go."
but
blow his
only a
brains out, whatever.
few weeks prior, his
A few weeks? They didn't say that.
No,
They never
They
actually
gave it,
said.
They did
They
not
never
give a
actually
time frame. It
yeah.
could have been years.
Maybe I got the vibe of that. I got the vibe.
I did not.
I got
I
the
gave-
vibe that it had just happened.
I get. Why would his wife be like, oh, "Fuck that guy"?
First,
man."
let me say
It'd be after
exactly what
years of
happened
not
in the
getting over it.
podcast so people know what the fuck we're talking about. Kurt Russell's son found his gun. Kurt Russell was in the military, so he had guns at the house.
Right.
His son found a gun and shot himself accidentally.
Yeah.
And so Kurt Russell is incredibly depressed, grew his hair out, got real sloppy looking, and kind of retired.
Yeah,
because-
he was absolutely retired.
Yeah.
And they wanted to reinstate him.
They want to reinstate him because they knew he was kind of suicidal.
That's dark. I
It's
didn't
dark.
know that. I thought
Yeah.
they just liked him because he was a strong soldier
yeah,
or something
if
like
you
that.
gotta
like,
take
good
a
in
trip
command.
to another part of the universe, like
They need
you
Kurt
want to,
Russell.
yeah, you need suicidal people.
So they
'cause
got him?
You'd be fucking crazy to do that.
He got a flat top.
So he went
Right
out.
away.
He
True,
went
yeah.
out.
He's
got
like,
a flat
I'm a
top.
military man. I need to have a flat top. Can't have long hair.
And the guy has
His-
he's got a lot of one-liners in the movie.
Of course he does,
Like
though. He's Kurt Russell. He winks before he shoots someone.
in the television show, fucking MacGyver
Plays Kurt Russell.
plays Kurt Russell.
Does he have a flat top?
And he does, I think, in like the first season, but his whole thing was like, I can't be Kurt Russell. Like, I want to like do like a more lighthearted approach to this. So he's
See,
like kind of a dick, but he's like a funny dick.
He's a
whereas
funny
in this
dick?
One, he,
No,
like,
funny
in this
dick.
one, he's like straight the entire time, except to the very end where he like smiles and he's like,
Yeah.
things are cool. Yeah, we're good.
Guys, look, Stargate the movie is one thing. Stargate the canon is another, and to bring us all to light on that subject, it's our guest, Jason Lamb. Let's dive into it, buddy. Let's figure it out. Like, I want to know what's going on outside of this film.
So one of the reasons I'm like excited to be talking about this film is that I recently got like really into the television show, which was a direct sequel to the movie.
Which I had no idea
And,
about. I had no clue.
It's like kind of like I've been watching it for the last like 4 years, and I'm now like of 10 seasons, I'm like midway through season 9, so I haven't finished it, but it's really good, and it's like fucking prolific. There's so many episodes, like so there's like 10 seasons of the main show, which is Stargate SG-1. There's 5 seasons of a spin-off of the show called
Jesus.
Stargate Atlantis. And there's 2 seasons of another spin-off
And I'm guessing
called Stargate Universe.
that Atlantis is well, okay. Why don't you do this, because I've never seen either. I don't know anything about it. Explain to the listeners and myself and Allison what SG-1 stands for. And I mean, I'm guessing
I can
SG
guess.
SG is Stargate, but and the Atlantis symbolism, like I'm assuming that they're blasting themselves over to Atlantis, but I don't know what SG-1 is all about.
SG-1, it basically designates that they are one team, and they're like the main team of
SG-1 main team,
So,
buddy.
there's like SG like 16 and stuff like that. And they're like the first response team. They're like the most badass. They were the people who went through the gate first, which is like in the movie.
Right.
And then there's like SG-3, SG-14, like whatever. And they're like the B team. They're like the red shirts from like Star Trek. You know, they like get out and they like die first. Or they're like the army in like the United States Army, where like they go out and they establish like base camp for like other branches of the military to like come through.
Huh.
So that's what SG-1 means. And like as far as Atlantis, I've not seen Atlantis, and apparently like around like season 6 is when it branched off into Atlantis. But
Wait. There was a show called Stargate Atlantis that
Oh.
yes, so it's
not
like,
until season 6 they went to Atlantis.
yes,
That is stupid. What
Yeah.
were they doing for the first 6 seasons? Talking about it?
Well, no, that like or like maybe it's even like season 8 or something
it
when they
about
do it.
aliens?
But like,
Like,
yeah,
what
it
was
was
it about?
it was about aliens, and like basically like it's like what happens after when they could start dialing different gates.
I see.
And like they found out that like, well, if we can dial this one gate, if we try like a bunch of random combinations, we can actually go to these other planets like all throughout
okay.
the universe, and they like establish
and
contact.
then so it's kind of like Star Trek then after that.
Yeah, and that like they can planet hop, and like they're all like human habitable worlds.
Yeah.
So that makes it easy. The cheesiest part though is that everybody speaks English no matter where they
Well,
go.
yeah.
Because like you can't do a show if everybody's like in subtitles the entire time.
Totally.
That's like the shows where they're supposed to be in Germany the whole time, and they're speaking English with a British accent, like all foreign countries.
Oh,
sound
yeah.
like British accents.
Yeah, totally.
That's always bothered me in movies.
Me too. But like, what are you gonna
Is
do?
this to show that they're foreign?
So yeah, the show is like really good and goes to like some really strange places. Like takes the idea of it and like there's this whole like space opera.
Are the characters in Atlantis the same as the characters from SG-1?
Yes. No. Well, like some of the characters from SG-1, which are again is the direct sequel to the movie, cross over into it,
Okay.
but like it's rare, or I don't even think
Is it a
happened.
galactic crossover?
It's an infinite crisis, if you will.
Excuse me, I'm gonna tighten up my glasses here.
So
Crazy. Well, that is
that's like a big long rant about
no,
that,
but like that is I'm like so interested. Like I'm more interested to dive into the Atlantis series.
I still don't even really know what the premise is, other than like obviously they go to Atlantis, so they wouldn't call it that.
Yeah,
I've been, like,
which is cool.
Purposefully trying not to spoil it for myself.
So back to the film at hand.
Yes.
Raw is a character in the
Just,
movie.
Like, think like R-A-W. Just like
Raw.
raw. He's like hella
WWF. Raw. Ra is a sun god, according to ancient Egyptian writings and worshipings at the time.
I think it was from a pharaoh that included Ra as the one and only god.
Yeah.
Right?
He's like
for a time period.
He's like the Hebrew god or like the Christian god or whatever.
Right.
Like,
he instilled that, but then once he passed, they went back to multiple gods.
Right. Yeah.
So that's correct, right?
Here's what I've gathered about Ra.
So that's interesting that they picked them.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I gathered about Ra based
agree.
on this film and what they brought to the table.
Super babe.
Oh,
like
super androgynous person that played Ra. And I think Ra was supposed to be androgynous. Well, you told me it was a male identifying actor.
I think so, and it was also the trans person in The Crying Game, which they almost I think they almost won like an Academy Award for or something.
Wow,
cool.
I haven't seen much of.
They only speak in the
Egyptian
language, and their scleras light up.
I like
as
that.
An alien.
I like it when they look at their minions when they fucked up, and like it's like
lights up.
It lights up, but they look at them, and then it like unlights up. It's really scary.
I thought it was really cheesy, but I did like that they chose the sclera instead of the iris, which you usually do, where it's like laser beams out of it.
Oh yeah.
But they made it the iris instead.
There's
only like 2 female characters in this movie.
Oh yeah, I noticed that.
But there is
somewhat in it.
But there is that androgynous character, which is Ra, which is.
So they're like, yeah, if you wanted to, you could count as like one more dude or like maybe one more woman, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah. So that counts as three main women.
There's not actually a lot of characters in this movie.
Yeah, they actually don't have a lot of dialogue.
No,
like,
there's not.
There's a lot of visual things, and like here's the thing: talking about negatives, real quick, is James Spader learning the language like in 2 hours?
Well, if Jason was right in saying that he maybe knew the language, he just didn't know the pronunciation, or he hadn't spoken to someone before.
Well, yeah, there is a good scene where he's with her and they're doing an actual
conversation.
Training session on the language. She's just like Yahweh. He's like Yahweh or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bunny way.
Here's another thing I want to talk about real quick before we get into Mary Fuck Kill. Is I want to talk about the fact that X-Men Apocalypse.
What? Oh yeah, it's very similar.
Wow. Come on. From the beginning. Okay, the beginning scene of X-Men Apocalypse is the exact premise of this, as far as Ra wanting to take a human form to stay eternal, which Apocalypse does in.
Yeah. In the director's cut of this, that's actually how the movie opens, is with the alien coming down and taking the body of the human.
But that's what happens in the beginning of Apocalypse.
In Apocalypse, but like in the theatrical cut of Stargate, that doesn't happen.
Is that the new one?
It opens with Egypt in like 1943 or whatever.
And finding a Stargate.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of things stolen from Stargate to make X-Men part fucking 10. I don't know.
Right.
But anyway, just wanted to point that out on the podcast, on the record, that it is a straight ripoff.
Actually, isn't Apocalypse's symbol with the eye like actually Ra?
Well, in the movie, he says, "I've been called many things, Ra."
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac is like so weird in that movie. Like He's like a non-character. I think he like has too much makeup on, where he can't like emote.
Yeah.
He's so fucking deadpan the entire time.
So, murder, fuck, kill. No,
Okay.
marry.
No, I want to
So-
say murder, fuck, kill all the time.
I know.
Yeah,
always with Mike.
Double.
He just
kill,
really wants to.
single.
I really
murder
want to
everyone.
double murder. Yeah. Marry, fuck, kill. So,
This movie's hard because it's a sci-fi.
Yeah,
It's the
and
first-
it's like all
I'm
dudes.
interested.
Yeah,
I'm
it's-
interested.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's just like the first like sci-fi. What action? Is that what you would call this movie?
I guess it's like an
It's
action
like
movie. Yeah,
it's like a Indiana Jones Jurassic Park movie.
yeah.
Whatever that is to me.
It's an
But-
adventure film.
Yeah, compared to the
Uh,
movies we've done before, which have either been like cheeseball or comedy or, you know.
Yeah, that's why it's like really hard to be
Besides-
funny about this one.
Besides,
it's just like
what was that fucking?
So let's
movie we
let,
watched?
let,
Mike, what was
let's
that movie
let's
we
pick
watched?
3. Let's pick 3, and we have to choose.
well, James Spader.
James Spader. We'll do James Spader. We'll do Raw.
Ron Wriggling.
And I guess the lady.
You don't always have to pick. We can do whoever we want.
So-
also.
Okay, so anyone you want. All right, let's do it. I'm gonna start this one off.
Do because this is strange. To
It's
do,
it's strange. It's complicated. I want Jason Lamb to be last because he's always has so like great, wonderful answers.
Don't play this up because that's like too much pressure.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
deliver,
ouch.
you know?
But I'm gonna start off and I'm gonna say I will marry James Spader. He just seems extremely sensitive. Like when the lady, her name is Sherry.
What?
Sherry.
That's the woman.
Yeah, that's her name. It's
The older woman or the
no,
love
wo-
interest?
The love interest.
Sherry.
Chowdy.
It's a
Sherry is not an
It's like
Egyptian
Saudi,
name.
but with a ch
He
sound.
pronounced it and he says Sherry.
Well, it's
Yeah,
probably his
Sherry.
pronunciation.
It sounds like, but I will marry James Spader. She was there to offer herself, and he was like, "No, I'm not doing that. That's not what I'm here for. I don't."
But we also don't know her level of consent in the whole deal. 'Cause they never mentioned that.
Exactly. She's supposed to be like she was like the one woman in this movie. And
Anyway,
he's like, go.
since she's the only female in the movie, she's the one that I would have sex with.
There's
Yeah.
one other woman.
So that was your fuck.
My kill would be Ra, the sun god. Allison, you're next.
I'm not really I'm not invested in any of them.
Well,
I would have sex with Ra.
Ra,
Yeah, because they're a babe.
Egyptian sun god vibes.
I don't really care about anyone in this movie, so I wouldn't want to kill anyone. There's no one that's too threatening, really.
What
Ra-
about
Ra's supposed to be the
Ra's minions?
Ra and his minions are supposed to be threatening, but they're really not to me.
They're
They're
there's
just
the
all
one.
hot.
No,
No,
there's
they're
the
not
one. There's
hot.
the one
I'm just not
asshole with
into
the
it.
fucking like. You can probably kill
Anyway.
one of the minions. Yeah, sure.
I won't kill anyone.
Wow.
take a pass.
So
on
are you
that.
just gonna pass on
I'm
this?
doing a pass on the kill, and then murder. I would do a pass too because that's the same thing.
Wait.
Because you
Kill
always,
and murder.
you always do murder, fuck, kill instead of
No,
marry.
we're doing Mary.
We're doing Mary,
fuck,
the
kill.
actual one?
Yes.
There's one. I don't. What do you call a person that's not necessarily? He's like a step up from an extra. I don't know if they would be listed.
It's like a bit part.
Are you
The,
talking
the
about?
ugly guy. I'm talking about the ugly guy.
The guy with the buck teeth and the unibrow. He was like
Yeah.
obviously
He
cast.
gets blown up.
Yeah, he was cast for that part. Like,
You think
like
so?
I know. I think like he was cast to evoke an emotional
What about-
response in the audience,
Yeah.
What
so
about
that you feel
Eric
really
Avery?
bad for like the retarded kid
When he
that
gets blown
like
up.
gets blown up. And I'm sorry to use that term, but
Yeah.
like
What about Eric Avery?
Who's that?
He's the guy that's in like everything.
Oh, the head of the slave people.
he was also in the Mummy, wasn't
He's in the Mummy. He's in
Okay.
ID4.
Oh yeah,
in
that's
Independence
right.
Day. It's just he's
Yeah, I'll
in
marry him. Sure.
everything that
I'll just
role-
marry him. Sure, why not? Doesn't matter. I'm not
He
invested.
seems
in
so
Marry
this.
him off.
sweet.
You're basically
I'm
like
not-
Chowdy in the movie.
He
You're just
seems
like,
so
whoever you
sweet.
promised me to.
I'm not
good.
into any of these people, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I would definitely fuck that alien.
Because it's a lady and a guy.
It's
like a twofer.
No,
It's a twofer.
It's a person that we don't know. It's an alien.
Jason Lamb, what's your...
It's getting political.
Oh, what's mine?
Yeah. Do you have a hard time with this or no?
I do.
It's a weird one to do it to, right?
But
it's not just me.
If I had to pick, I would marry James Spader because I like nerds. I like awkward nerds.
That's
and
how
also like
you think he can be waspy sometimes too.
this was like Spader. Yeah, no, I bet he's like a real queen. Like,
oh yeah, I think so for sure. Although, have you seen his interviews?
No.
They're pretty funny. I feel like he's hella stoned.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Seems so chill.
Yeah, it's in his interviews, he's way different than I think he is in his movies.
So I like his character. Let's just pretend that it's just his character. And yeah, Daniel Jackson, I would definitely marry. I would definitely fuck Raw.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
Raw's like got it going on. And I feel like this person had to be cast for that role. Like,
Yeah.
You think so?
like
attractive,
androgynous. Like, it's supposed to be alien. Like,
I like that a
otherworldly,
lot because like this
in a way that
movie
you can't place it.
reminded me a lot of The Mummy.
Yeah, no,
And I feel like they could have went that route, The Mummy as Raw. Do you know what I mean? I feel like they could have done that vibe.
Yeah, totally. I would still kill the unibrow guy because
I was gonna marry him. Is that what I said?
out of pity.
We just kind of skipped. I just trailed off and we skipped.
And when your marriage? What would your marriage look like? Would you just be like taking? Would you be like giving him sponge baths and stuff like that after a certain
Probably.
time?
Unibrow guy like died too, and it was really sad.
He was just kind of like. He was just to the far left of the screen usually most of the time.
Like let's say you lived in an alternate reality, you like marry him, right? And he's like in his combat helmet. He's just like really excited about.
All the army guys that went through the Stargate gave the slave people that they made an army out of, and they let them die. They pushed them to the forefront.
Oh yeah.
They gave them like goggles, maybe a helmet there, a vest there. They just gave them little mix matches.
But I feel like they stole their guns. Like they didn't even like equip them with it. They're just like, we're gonna take these and figure it out.
And then they have a big shootout at the end.
Yeah.
You guys, would you recommend Stargate 1994?
I mean, it's okay. I like sci-fis, but I think this one's okay. I don't know. Maybe if it was on TV, then sure.
On TV, so it
Not necessarily seek out, though.
flipping through the chans.
Yeah, the
it comes
chans.
on, and go ahead and dive into it.
Sure.
At that point,
Yeah.
sure. Jason Lamb.
Absolutely. I'm a fan. I've been a fan.
Yeah,
since,
you guys love this
since
movie.
I saw it in the
Fucking love this
theater
movie.
when I was a kid.
So good.
Like, I love it.
I for all the reasons that you said, like everything you brought up before, like about the lore of the whole thing, like
I mean, that and like the casting choices, like I was saying, like the cinematography, the music, like it's like a really well made film outside of like my love for like the series or anything like that. Like it's just like there's a lot to like really like about it if you like movies or you like the craft of film, I think.
Sure.
Even if for it being like a science fiction film.
Completely agree with you. Completely agree with you.
I did think it was interesting that I thought it seems higher budget than a lot of sci-fis at that time.
Yeah,
which I thought was interesting.
Or like they did such a good job that like it seems a lot more believable.
Yeah,
when you look at things.
They did, yeah.
Roland Emmerich was definitely given some keys and delivered. I felt like.
Yeah, totally. And then they were like, "Okay, Independence Day, do that."
Yeah,
and delivered again.
Aliens.
Yeah.
Squid arms.
I definitely recommend it. It's something that like I like to put on even when I have friends hanging out at my house. I'll throw it on and like people will
but it's
engage.
It's not like a fun
for me
comedy
or
like really
it's
weird.
Like,
cult
it's really
movie.
kind of
like
serious.
It's a like a, yeah.
No, but it's visually appealing, and I feel like it's something that I can throw on, and I have before, and it's worked out. And in my opinion, it's a definite thumbs up. Recommend.
The beginning of the Stargate reminded me of the Donnie Darko weird jetting out things that come out of people. Do you remember that?
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, that's our Mary Fuck Kills. We all, I think, had a good time watching the movie. It's
not very long.
It's a film
It's
that
like 90 minutes long.
It's not long. I recommend again watching this movie if you
so inclined.
if you're so inclined. Like, no, if you're listening to this, you should have already seen it. But I'm talking about referring it to other friends. Yes, do it. And follow Jason Lamb at Jason_Lamb. Allison, you can follow her on Facebook at Allison.
Nope.
And I am Mike Pelly. You can find me at Mike Pelly. You guys have any last thoughts?
Nothing. Just see the movie.
See the movie, yeah.
That's cool.
The helmets are really cool. The alien
Helmets are cool, and that's what they draw on the ancient Egyptian walls back in the day. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'm Mike Pelly. See you next time.
This has been a podcast presented by
Hard to Find Media.
with music presented by
Celebrator.
Subscribe to Hard to Find Media on youtube.com/Hard to Find Media Network. This shit is free. Share it. Blast it. Fuck it.